What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. For this camera comparison we have the brand new GoPro 12, we have the GoPro 11 and of course the GoPro 10. So in today's video we're gonna find out if it's worth buying the brand new GoPro, if the video quality is any different, if the video stabilization is any different and so on. So we're going to be splitting this video into three sections. The first section has to do the internal microphone, so I'm going to show you a couple of sample recordings so you can figure out if any of them has a better internal microphone. The second section has to do the video stabilization, so I'm going to do some walking, some running, some biking so you can figure out which camera has the better video stabilization. And the last section has to do, of course, with the video quality. So I'm going to show you different resolutions in different settings so we can see which camera is better. With that being said, let's start by checking out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has a better internal microphone. Alright, so we have our first microphone test outdoors between the GoPro 10, the GoPro 11 and of course the GoPro 12. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second and I have the fields of view set to wide. Now today it's not that windy out, so you're probably gonna hear my voice and nothing else. I'm gonna start walking a bit faster. Maybe you get some wind and this so you can see how all three cameras do if there is wind whenever you're walking, and also you can see how the video stabilization kind of works if you're filming yourself, if you're basically vlogging. So this is how the internal microphones on these three action cameras would capture sound on a super sunny day and of course a pretty quiet day. Okay, and we are moving on to our next microphone test, of course, the GoPro 10, the GoPro 11 and the GoPro 12. For this test, I am indoors, as you can see for yourself, so it is nice and quiet in here. So the only thing you should hear in this recording is basically my voice. There is a bit of an echo as well, so keep that in mind. For this recording, we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second, and I have the field of view set to wide on all three action cameras. So this is how all three GoPros would capture sound indoors. Alright, so funny enough, for those microphone recordings, it looks like the 10 and the 11 do better than the 12. And you definitely notice that whenever you're recording outdoors. Outdoors, the 12 is a bit more quiet than the other two. So personally, out of the three cameras, I do prefer the GoPro 11 for those microphone recordings. And moving on, we're only gonna use the audio from the GoPro 11. So I'm not gonna use the audio from the other two. Moving on. All right, next we're gonna check out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has better video stabilization. So let's check those out and I will be right back. Alright, for our first test for video stabilization, we have a combination of walking and running. For this test, I'm recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. I have the field of view set to wide. I have the level of video stabilization set to boost on the GoPro 10 and auto boost on the 11 and the 12. So I'm walking peacefully. I'm also trying to keep the cameras as steady as possible, but we're gonna start running. We'll go left, we'll go right. We'll turn around, we'll walk this way, I'm gonna turn this way once again, and we'll walk normal. So this is how the video stabilization would work on the 10, 11 and the 12. Alright, and we're moving on to our next test for video stabilization. For this test, I am riding a bicycle. As you can see for yourself, we are doing 5.3K at 60 frames per second and the field of view set to super view. And I also have the level of video stabilization set to maximum on all three action cameras. So we're gonna turn left, we're gonna turn right, we're gonna turn left somewhere around here. We're gonna turn right, left again, and right once again, and we'll go straight. So this is how the video stabilization on these three action cameras is basically working whenever you're riding a bicycle. For our last test for video stabilization, I want to show you how the footage would look like if you're filming yourself. So you're basically vlogging and talking in front of the camera. For this recording, we are doing 5.3K at 60 frames per second with all three cameras, and we have the field of view set to wide. I'm gonna start running for a bit. I'm also trying to keep the cameras as steady as possible. We'll turn around here and we'll run this way. So now the sun is kind of behind me. So this is how the video stabilization would work under these conditions. Alright, for our next test for video stabilization, we're recording in 5.3K at 30 frames per second. I have the field of view set to linear and horizon leveling on the 10 and linear plus horizon lock on the 11 and the 12. The level of video stabilization is set to auto boost on the 11 and 12 and boost on the 10. So we're gonna start running this way. We'll go left, right, we'll go around. We'll run this way, we'll turn right, this way, and we'll turn around. So 5.3K at 30 frames per second. Alright, so after checking out those recordings, I can't really say that one is better than the other one. Maybe the 11 and the 12 are slightly better than the 10, but even the 10 has really good video stabilization. So for video stabilization, I can't really see any improvements for the 12. So the 12 and the 11 do seem pretty much identical. So really no change for the video stabilization. And I mean, even the GoPro 10 does have really good video stabilization. Alright, next we're gonna move on and check out some sample videos so we can figure out which camera has better video quality. Now, for the GoPro 12, we have something new. So we have HDR videos. So I want to start by checking out the HDR videos first, and then we'll check out the other videos. So let's see those sample recordings and I will be right back. Alright, for our next video we are recording in 5.3K at 30 frames per second. The field of view is set to super wide on all three cameras, but on the GoPro 12 I have the HDR mode enabled. That mode is not available on the 11 or the 10. So let's see how that HDR mode does. We have a combination of sunshine and shade around here. So we'll see how the cameras capture this kind of scenario. So yeah, 5.3K at 30 frames per second, but the HDR mode was enabled on the GoPro 12. Alright, next we're moving on to a 4K at 60 frames per second recording done with the 12, 11 and of course the 10. Now for this recording I do have the HDR mode enabled on the GoPro 12. As I mentioned earlier, that's not available on the GoPro 11 or the GoPro 10. So I wanted to see more how this does at different resolutions. So as I said, 4K at 60 frames per second right now. So I'm walking slowly. I'm also trying to keep the cameras as steady as possible. And the sun is basically right ahead. So yeah, 4K at 60 frames per second with the HDR mode on the GoPro 12, but not on the 10 and of course 11. I also have the field of view set to wide. Next we are moving on to another 4K at 60 frames per second recording between the 12, 11 and 10. Now for this recording I have the HDR mode enabled on the 12. As I said earlier, that mode doesn't exist on the other two cameras, so on the 10 and on the 11. We're just gonna walk here. It is a bit shadier around here, so now we have a combination of shade and sunshine. I'm gonna pan left slowly. I guess we'll walk towards my bike. So 4K at 60 frames per second, the field of view was set to wide, and on the GoPro 12 we have the HDR mode enabled. Alright, so after checking out that footage I can clearly see a difference for those HDR videos that we got from the GoPro 12 when compared to the 11 and the 12. So this is definitely a very welcome addition to the GoPro 12, because before that we didn't actually have anything like that. So yes, the HDR videos that you're gonna get from the GoPro 12 do look different than the ones that you're gonna get from the 11 and the 12. So for that, the video quality is better from the 12. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some more sample recordings that I've done, but for those I don't have the HDR mode enabled. So let's check those out and I will be right back. And of course, for those of you that love 1080p recordings, this is a 1080p at 30 frames per second recording. I have the field of view set to super view on all three cameras, and as you can see for yourself, I am walking nice and slow, trying to keep the cameras as steady as possible. We're gonna stop here, we're gonna pan right for a bit and then pan left, and I guess we'll walk this way. So this is how a 1080p at 30 frames per second recording would look like from the GoPro 12, 11 and of course 10. Next on the list we have a recording done in 5.3K at 60 frames per second with a 10, 11 and of course 12, and I have the field of view set to wide for all three action cameras. So I'm just gonna walk up here, we're gonna stop here, we're gonna pan right slowly. And back left, so towards the sun. So this is our recording done in 5.3K at 60 frames per second with a field of view set to wide would look like. Next we are moving on to a quick recording done in 5.3K at 30 frames per second and the field of view set to super view. As you can see for yourself, I am riding the bicycle and we're kind of riding towards the sun in a way. So this is how a recording would look like if you're riding a bicycle on a sunny day and also pretty windy out. I also wanted to show you a 4K at 60 frames per second recording between the 12, 11 and 10. Now the field of view is set to hyper view on the 12 and on the 11, where the maximum field of view for the 10 is super view. So slightly wider on the 12 and of course on the 11 if you're recording at this resolution. So 4K at 60 frames per second. Alright, so it seems that if you don't have the HDR enabled on the 12, there isn't really much difference between the 11 and the 12. Sure, there is a bit of a difference between the 12 and the 10, and there is a bit of a difference between the 10 and the 11. But between the 11 and the 12, you can't really tell the difference if you don't have that HDR mode enabled. So the video quality, aside from those HDR videos, doesn't seem to have improved. Alright, next we're gonna check out a quick sample recording so you can see how all three cameras do in low light. So let's check that out and I will be right back. Alright, so lastly we have a quick test in low light. Now I didn't go outside at night, I basically closed all the blinds and I made it quite dark in the apartment here. So just so you get an idea how the GoPros perform at night or in low light basically. Now, from my experience with all the other past GoPros, they don't actually do great if it's not super bright wherever you're filming. And I can't really see anything on the screens on all three cameras. So I'm pretty sure that whenever I'm gonna see this footage on the computer, they're all gonna look just as bad. Maybe there is a bit less noise on the video from the 12, but I'm not too sure about that. So this is how the 10, the 11 and the 12 would record in low light basically. So as you've seen for yourself, for low light recordings, all three cameras are pretty awful. And personally, I wouldn't film anything at night or in low light conditions with any of these action cameras. They just don't do good at all. If you'd be to compare this to the DJI Osmo Action 4, well, that one actually has decent low light capabilities, but the 12 here is just terrible. So what do you guys think about the GoPro 12? Did they do enough? Were you disappointed? What are your thoughts about the GoPro 12? Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.